It is 7 o'clock, live from Rottweiler Performance in Costa Mesa, California. This is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, number 26. You think by now we'd be able to do this a little bit better?
What took you so long to do one here? 26?
You threatened to lock me in the dyno room, and I took you seriously. So this is Chris Parker from Rottweiler Performance, everybody. He is going to be the co-host today. He's got to stand up to the high standards of Big John, Andrew Short, Ricky Brabeck. You're sitting in a hot seat there.
Piece of cake. Piece of cake. They got nothing on me.
Okay, that you heard it here first. So we're gonna judge how this does, how his performance does, based on the ratings. It's all about ratings. We can track everything, and so
Andrew doesn't drink like I do. When he does, it's funny.
No,
though.
Andrew tried to tell me that I didn't know how to ride in the sand. No, wait, I tried to tell Andrew he didn't know how to ride in the sand. I can't remember. But that's kind of what happens. That's why we record this stuff, so I can go back and you can say, Jimmy, you actually did say that, and you were 100% wrong. So 70% of the time, you get 100% accuracy, and that's the way we're going to run it. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to start out with the questions that you guys posted on the different forums. So we farm the questions back off the YouTube posts from last time's show, off of the bike tests and stuff that we publish. We put up posts on Facebook where you guys can ask motorcycle and motorcycle product-related questions. Then we grab those, I write them down and or print them out, and we will answer those live on the air. So I don't have to type so much into the computer because it's a lot easier for me to talk. And this fly wants to fly in my mouth. I'm going to have to kill it. Good, it flew away.
You won't drink much.
So then we will we'll see where all that takes us, those questions. We will take questions off of the YouTube live feed. If questions start popping up there, this is kind of an experiment for us. We're going to see how that works. And then
I was the first one to like it.
Oh,
we got 3 likes.
That's good.
No
so
comments.
That's out of 5. That's not too bad. We've got a good percentage rate.
Yeah.
Then we will get questions from the crowd here because a few people showed up at Rottweiler Performance. We just told them to shut up, but we will give them time to speak later, and then they can ask their questions if they have any. I'm sure they're just going to get more confused. And then last but not least, we will do our last fire round of Facebook questions, which seem to happen about 2 minutes after I say we're going to sign off. Then all of a sudden we get a barrage of questions. That's when we'll go back to the Facebook comments and try to address those.
The speed round.
The speed round, that's what it is. And then my wife, Heather, who is here today, also suggested that we do apologies at the end of the show for all the people that I piss off. So it's Chris's other job on his notepad there to write down when I offend somebody, and then we'll apologize to them at the end of the show, and or somebody will be fact-checking for us. Generally, that's George. Where's George?
Honey, can you get me a legal size paper? I don't think this is going to be.
Is George out there? Because George could be our fact checker, because he usually posts up the things, like if we talk about something, he'll link to it. He'll put it in the chat room, and which is really helpful. But he can probably tell me every time I'm wrong this way, and we'll go for there. Hey, so in other news, we besides the fact that we have some really nice tequila here, courtesy of Chris, he's going to out tequila me. Yep. We have the archived parts of this show. A guy contacted me, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. His name was Dimitri. He showed me a picture of him watching Tech Talk Taco Tuesday after they got back from a ride out in a really awesome looking place. And he's like, these need to be podcasts. And I'm like, well, that was the idea from the beginning. I'm technologically kind of a moron. So he's been helping me, and they are actually getting done, close to getting done. So that's happening. We're gonna have podcasts here. If you're watching the video, you're going to see Chris hold up some tequilas. You think he's showing off, but I find it's all about the taste.
Yeah, your tequila's swill.
At 218 certified tequilas, which I can vouch for. Yeah, you're not on that list. I can taste a tequila that I like. It's kind of like riding motorcycles, and we're going to talk about some motorcycle comparison tests that have gone on lately, and motocross traction control. We're going to talk a little bit about the KTM 300 XCW TPI bike that unfortunately I have to turn back in tomorrow, and a couple other quick things. So, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about Rottweiler Performance? What is it? How long have you been in business? And what you got going on here? Because this place is, frankly, pretty amazing knowing where you started.
Thank you. Rottweiler Performance is a Southern California-based. Oh, sorry.
A little closer,
sorry.
yeah.
Not used to this. Rottweiler Performance is a Southern California-based performance shop specializing in mainly KTM, so from basically 500 up is what we chose because below that is kind of saturated.
They're girls' bikes, right?
The girls' bikes, yeah exactly. The small bikes. We used to call them big bikes, but they're small. But we built a niche. We started around 2011. We built a niche for basically tuning and intake systems. And we just kind of kept pushing and growing it. And we didn't really have any idea how big. None of this was even in our purview a couple of years ago. Even a year ago. And,
Well, I'm going to tell the story about how I found you.
Oh, you were drunk.
No, not yet. I was riding my bike to go get...
You had beer stains on your shirt.
Oh, that was sweat. so
You sweat yellow.
So I was riding my bike. You know what? Maybe it was after I'd gone running.
Mm-hmm.
I'd gone on one of my running club things, and I was riding my bicycle back, and I was cruising through a parking lot, the dark back streets of Guadalajara Mesa, Coastal Mesa,
Coastal Mexico.
Yeah, coastal Mexico. I was cruising back through the back streets, on my bicycle, and I saw a really Sano Sierra 450X. It was like a Baja race bike, had the big lights on it, and I was like, oh, look at that, that's somebody must have stole that, parked it out here. But no, it was a really nice bike. And then I looked in the shop, and it was a fabrication shop, and there was a couple other bikes in there. And I think I strolled in, yeah?
We were loading up. We were going pre-running to the Baja 500, and I thought you were a homeless guy.
Yeah, thank you.
I literally thought you were a homeless guy. You looked like one.
I try to keep incognito around here.
Yeah.
Want to blend in.
You did.
So I said, I think I just started asking you some questions. I was pretty amazed at the bike because at the time I'd been doing a lot of stuff with Johnny Campbell, and I knew what a good Sierra 450X was. And we just started talking, and he figured he was talking to a homeless guy who just read Dirt Rider magazine.
I almost told you to pound sand and beat it.
Yeah, because
I'm actually not kidding.
At the time, I was the editor of Dirt Rider magazine, and I said, man, I'd like to. We do this thing called what was the name of that section? Factory rides or
Dream Rides.
Dream Rides. That's what it was. Dream Rides. I said I'd like to ride this bike for a Dream Rides, and you probably at that point really thought I was screwed up. So we set it up and went and rode his bike, and I was pretty impressed with. Everything about it, in all honesty, with the exception of the muffler. He liked a loud muffler.
It's Mexico. You want them to hear you coming.
Yeah.
Especially the cows.
So, we did that, and over the course of time, we just kind of developed a friendship. And see, that's why I was going to pick on you. Now you're all KTMs. You thought I was a moron for liking KTMs at that time.
Did I?
I think so. You thought why would anybody want to ride one of those?
I may have said something to that degree.
So you were Honda. Through and through. And what year was this?
I've never bled anything. Never. If two wheels is great, but no, I think that was.
We got a Husky behind us.
It's
almost a KTM, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a white KTM.
So,
but
2000 and
it's 2008.
Was the what year did the 950 come out? Was the 950 out at then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It came out in 05.
05. That's actually 2003. Yeah. So I should know I have the very first one. I still have that bike with one of your intake systems on it, by the way.
Thank you.
So
it means a lot to me, Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, I kept.
Probably got it for free.
I did testing. I helped development for you, right?
Yeah.
Durability, thrash testing. You can see what a moron does with it when you just beat stuff up all the time.
And it worked, right?
It works great. And 80% of the stuff you told me when you were being a salesman, when you were trying to tell me how bitchin' it was, 80% of that stuff actually worked.
What didn't?
I don't remember, but you made it sound like it was going to be great. And the one thing I didn't believe you on, and it took me a long time to prove this to myself, because I'm very, well, I don't want to say I'm wrong, but so I was slightly off base, is you told me that jet it up and, do all those jetting changes, and you're going to get better fuel mileage. And I'm like, there's no way. Not with a CV carb. You can't go with bigger jets and all that stuff like that. So, and I had a really good setting that I liked before, and I typically, this, I like my stuff leaner, and I don't really want the snap and power. I want it smooth. Well, I started going towards your jetting direction, and the mileage kept getting better and better. And I kid you not, that thing probably got 20 to 30% better fuel economy. And the only change I did was to the air filter, the air intake, and I was running a single FMF exhaust, a Q exhaust at the time, which you wanted me to put big bazooka mufflers on it, but two of them too. But anyways, so no, good. And now I have them on my 1190, on my 1090, and if you want a boost in power, and it's not as drastic, I don't think, as it was with the carbureted bikes. I think as fuel injection got better, I don't think you're going to get that big of a jump in fuel economy, but in throttle response, like wrist to throttle response, they're good. Intakes are really, really good. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah. So not blowing smoke and up your, I'm just telling you what it really is. Actually, and you can read about it. You can read a test where we talk about that kind of stuff on dirt bike tests. So don't be scared to type in www.dirtbiketest.com. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So continue. So now you're making awesome KTM products.
Yeah. So I mean, at first when we started making these things, it was like, I made one for myself, and it was when I met my beautiful wife down in, we'll put her on camera here in a little bit, but I made one for myself on a 2008 Super Duke and had no intention of ever selling it. It was just something I wanted to do for myself, so I did this thing.
Because your background is in fabrication.
Intake fabrication, exhaust fabrication. I designed the exhaust for like Singer Porsche, so I do exotic car exhaust systems and intake systems for race cars, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So just as a tinkerer, I played around with the intake, and I bought this 2008 Super Duke that was black. And I'm going to tell you how we came up with the name, because a lot of people ask me, how the hell did you come up with the name? Are you a dog lover? Like, I love dogs, but I need a dog like a hole in the head. So with our schedule. So I bought the motorcycle because it saved me so much money on gas going to visit my wife in Mexicali, because it took us 2.5 or 3 years to get our visa. So I bought this motorcycle, and I saved so much money in gas that it paid for the payment of the bike. So naturally, as fabricators do and performance guys, I started tinkering with the intake, and I took it down to a dyno. And we dynoed it, and it made it like a solid 9 horsepower, which was, the dyno guy was blown away. He's like, I've never seen anything like this. So at the time, I had a guy with an adventure bike, and we were building a dyno header for him in the shop. So he says, that motor's the same. You want to see if it fits in that? So we stuck in that, and it fit like it was made for the adventure bike. Like, it was a complete accident.
Yeah.
I told the guy to keep it quiet for a while. He didn't. He went on Adventure Rider and started talking about it, and the phone calls started coming in. And so I started making these things on the weekends, and first it was lunch money, and then it was lunch and a little bit of rent, and it was lunch, rent, and mortgage, and everything else. And we just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and we knew I don't do anything half-assed. There's nothing I do half-assed. And a lot of people get into this business, and then they back off. They realize it's like the customer support is gnarly. The people if people are pissed off, they don't get the stuff.
It becomes a real business.
Yeah, and some people back off because they don't want that. We kept pushing forward and kept pushing, and we were able to build it. And I think through just like good old-fashioned work and old-fashioned ideas about business, it just grew. And there's a lot of guys that really focus on their front end of their website and make everything beautiful and all this stuff, and we focused on the back end.
It starts with a good product, and it was kind of funny because I got to watch it a lot largely from the outside because I'd ride my bike by, not drunk, ride my bike by and see what was up. I'm on my way back and forth, and you'd see the shops like start swelling and the car fabrication stuff get pushed off the side. All of a sudden there's like an assembly line of air intakes and then these other parts, and all of a sudden you're stocking parts and there's and then all of a sudden it's the building next door, and it just started, and then there's upstairs, and it started growing, and
try to stick it anywhere we could.
Then you can't go mountain bike riding because you're stuck in the shop, and you're busy doing this and that. So yeah.
And so here we are now.
Growing pains. Yeah.
Things are awesome, and we're really happy. It's a lot of work, but we couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, no, it's the shop here is pretty impressive. If you were looking out in front of where the cameras are, there's 2 or 3 790s. There's a couple 690s. There's all kinds of bikes in various states of getting built up.
Need a mirror.
Yeah.
Anybody have a big mirror?
No, we could actually turn the camera around, but I don't want to knock it off of a kid. Tell them to come in here and get a beer.
Right.
Yeah, you just can't talk because there's like an echo, and people say it sounds like I'm doing this podcast off of my toilet. So, which would be kind of fitting.
Pacifico.
Sometimes. So, anyways, yeah. Thanks for Thanks for joining in and watching us, and then also thanks for having us here. It's kind of nice to have a change of studios every once in a while. It's a little pain to set up, but other than that, pretty nice.
Is this? Where am I reading? I'm trying to read the comments here. Are these these live comments? They start from the top.
Yeah, I don't know whether they start at the top or the bottom, but you can kind of scroll up and down. And
I think we lost audio for a while because San Felipe.
He always has problems, and then he has to go
so it's our fault.
Put diapers on his kids or his boy and his girl or however it works. I'm not really sure.
So Christmas sounds on.
Yeah, so no, it's working okay. So I'm going to start diving into some of these questions. Chris, feel free to chime in when needed. We're going to start off with we had a lot of questions about the KTM 300 XCW, which is the fuel-injected two-stroke. It's the bike we just tested, I think, up on our YouTube channel right now. I haven't really transferred it over to the website yet, but we have a preview video or a video I did after I rode the bike just for a day, and then I did a short video for you attention-starved people. Don't pay attention for more than like 5 minutes, so there's a 5-minute quick review, and then there's also a longer one, a nearly 20-minute one, where I get into detail on all the different parts of the bike. And so with that, we have a few questions. Most of those questions could be answered if you would pay attention to the 20-minute video, but I know you can't, so there's no way.
Attention span is a minute and a half these days.
There's no way you're going to last through this hour-plus long podcast, but we'll give it a shot anyways. Let's see. So Cactus 73A, and I'm gonna go off on. I wish people had to use their real names on this thing, like the guy that the guy that thought the Christini was a pile of shit last time. At least I got to use his real name. So let's see, Cactus. No, it wasn't Mark. Jimmy, is it possible that your test bike has a bad barometer sensor? I have two buddies that are riding 2020 KTM or 2020 Husky TXs in Colorado right now, and neither are experiencing your issue. Have you asked your KTM rep about this? Great review. I can't wait till mine arrives. Okay, so what he is referring to is on our test bike, I rode it over 2,000 feet in elevation change, either going up or down, and the bike starts running funny. So strangely, when you go up, it got rich, and when you go down, it got lean, which is the opposite of what a carburetor would do. I've inquired with KTM about it. Unfortunately, everybody is on vacation over in Austria right now, so we can't seem to get a response from the fuel injection guys. So someone said maybe it's a bad sensor. Well, I unplugged the sensor and plugged it back in, and the bike doesn't run. I mean, if you're running it and you unplug it with the throttle kind of open, it'll continue to run until you shut the throttle off, then it shuts off. So I'm under the impression my sensor is working properly. I'm pretty sure the bike is working properly. I think it only takes a reading when you start the bike. So when you go up or down in elevation, it doesn't compensate for it, and somehow those things happen, or it's doing something in the ECU, and it hasn't been explained to me. But that's what ours did. I suspect your buddies probably don't have the problem, because just like when I rode my old one, the 2018, one of the first ones, I rode it like literally from 600 feet elevation all the way up to 8,000 feet. But I guarantee you I probably stopped every 10 or 15 miles. And with that, every time you start and stop, it resets the sensor. So that's why I didn't experience it. Maybe that's why your buddies aren't experiencing it. It really isn't a problem. I mean, it's just something that I noticed. It's an issue, but not a problem, I don't think. And if you were, and I even thought about it, if I were racing and I knew it was a problem, I would just stall the bike, like skidding into a turn, and then hit the starter and restart it, and then it's fine, and you wouldn't notice it. If you notice you were going way uphill or way downhill, and trust me, 2,000 feet of elevation gain is a long ways. So thanks for the question, Cactus. Hopefully that works. Let's see. Jack Bauer said, "I never heard you so focused." Really? Great review. Thank you, Jack. That's nice of you.
We can fix that.
Yeah, we'll break that thing open. I'm going to get focused. I've got a CRF 250 Honda R tomorrow. We're going to ride at the track. I've got some additional Christini stuff that I'm going to be riding, and Baja Designs thankfully sent me a light that plugs into our CR450X, so me and Heather can go riding at night this weekend. Right, honey? Yeah. We're going riding? Good. Okay, because her KTM already has a good Baja Designs light, and plug and play. So let's see, Liberty Tree. What's a Liberty Tree? A Liberty Tree says, much evolved from my 2009 300 XCW. Excellent review information. Thank you. And then Perv, what? Where's the riding around the 10-minute mark in the video? It looks like it's probably, well, guess what? That's something else you're going to find out about me. I will never tell you where I'm riding. That's half the journey, adventure. Go figure it out, find out for yourself, explore. I like to, especially when I'm riding in really good places, which I tend to do, I like to keep those places, especially for the local riders that oftentimes show me them or help them. I like to keep those places kind of private. I think more people should do that kind of stuff because the good places can get torn up pretty quick when everybody finds out where they are. So let's see.
Don't go to Mexico. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Don't come and ride in Jawbone Canyon, California. Jawbone has the best riding in the whole world. Jawbone Canyon. That's it. Somebody says mono audio, but a great review. I'm not an audio engineer. Sorry about that.
You should see the board he's got here.
You'd think I'd know better. You know how you buy expensive tools and people think you know how to work on your bike that way?
I got tons of that.
Yeah.
That's most of the shop. It's all a front.
Okay, got it. You'd think I'd know better about that audio thing. I remember looking at it going, hey, only one of those bars is bouncing around while I was putting that video together. But it was a two-stroke review, and here's really what I was thinking. Is since like it's two-stroke, you only get half the audio, because if it was a four-stroke, you'd get all the audio, right?
Yeah.
Good
Suck,
excuse.
squeeze, pop, blow.
Yeah.
Right?
Great review. As usual, lots
that?
of information, useful insights, along with real-world feedback, says MX Engineer number 1. Properly jetted carburetors, especially Keens on the latest KTM and Husky models, are simple yet amazingly effective devices. You still put a jetting tool on your new TPI bike. I know TPI is different, but in your opinion, is it really better than a carburetor? Yes, 100% better than a carburetor. It's the same way I always tell people, go ride a carbureted four-stroke. And if you've been riding a fuel-injected one, go ride a carbureted one and then tell me if you think it's better.
You'll stay with it.
The throttle response, and it's kind of like learned, because anytime, carburetor, like I said, is a very simple, efficient device. But when you turn a carburetor, it takes a second for it to figure out what you've done. Mm-hmm. And fuel injection knows instantly what you've done, and it puts the right amount of fuel in here. And this is something I'm going to kind of roll back into on the TPI again in a second. But when there's that lag, and some people perceive that lag as being a snappy power or a hit or a bang, and especially on the two-stroke, because they used to be known for being like aggressive, and then they got smoother, and then people said, I want more aggression, and then now we've gone to fuel injection, which is smoother. And if you want more power, and this is my favorite tip to all you guys, you want more power? Turn the throttle farther. It's really simple. It's free most of the time if your bike doesn't loop out, but you just turn the throttle farther. But if you want more snap, turn it faster, quicker, and that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's I'm sure people have dyno charts, and we'll talk about dyno. We're going to talk about dynos and how you like the rear end of a motorcycle.
I like the rear end of a motorcycle.
Yeah. So, I'm sure there's dyno charts that show carburetors being able to get more power, and especially in the early days of four strokes, everybody's like, the carburetors made more power. The carburetors made more power, and there was certain places in the dyno, and especially way up on top, where they were making more power. But now look at how much power they're making, because they've tuned the entire motors to work with the fuel injection. And two-stroke, it's still relatively new. We're 3 years into KTM doing the TPI stuff. So we were talking about it, and one of the things is like it has a lean feeling. The new fuel injected two strokes always feel lean, and in reality, the four strokes do too, kind of compared to a carbureted bike. Wouldn't you say so?
Well, I mean, on smaller bikes, Because it depends on what, I mean, like some of the bigger bikes, they have closed loop, which is all the EPA stuff.
Yeah.
That is lean.
It is lean. For sure
Yeah.
it's lean. But even when you take them off, compared to if you let's just say a KTM 950 and 990, which are, that'd probably be something in our wheelhouse that we can talk about. Like if you have a properly carbureted 950 that's jetted about as perfect as you can get, and then you get a nicely tuned 990, the 990 will always feel leaner. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just the sensation of, fuel injection. It's just.
But by lean, do you mean crisp?
Yeah, crisp, or just just if you, the only, I guess really the only, it's just the only way to explain it is if you have a carburetor and you just richen it up, there's a rich sensation, and then you can lean it out and you get that lean sensation where it's a little fluttery. Maybe it isn't as it's a feeling. It's confusing.
Yeah, well, I mean, with a carburetor, you're basically getting as close as you can with the jets to match the engine, and it's pulling in what it wants. And that may vary depending on what you're doing with the throttle. Whereas a fuel injection, it's delivering fuel based on mostly throttle and RPM.
Yeah.
So you have that pre-programmed amount of fuel that's going in, so it kind of changes the feel of the delivery. It does a different thing. You're right. It's hard to describe.
It doesn't have that. So when you turn the throttle, and that's why on 4-strokes you need a pump. You need a pump or carburetor, because when you turn the throttle, that suction is not enough to draw enough gas in the motor. There's that moment where there's not enough there. Even with the pumper, there's still that little bit of lag. There's that little bit of delay, and so with the fuel injection, they build that into the mapping. They know if the throttle changes from 20% to 60%, it's got to dump this much additional fuel in, as opposed to if you just rolled it on slowly, it would be able to, it wouldn't have to dump the massive amounts of additional fuel in. And that's why, some people get better fuel economy when they're riding bikes, because they're smooth with the wrist. They're not snapping it, because if you're snapping it, it's dumping, dumping fuel into the motor. But so on the 2-stroke, it's really noticeable that the bike is just lean compared to the way we would jet a bike, we call it safely, especially a bike that you're going to be racing at higher speeds or higher RPMs. And one of the reasons is on 2-strokes, the bike's typically seized, when you're under a big load and then you got off the throttle.
Yeah, and then starve it.
And it would starve it, or actually at that point, it kind of shuts the fuel down, but the motor's still hot and it can still suck a certain amount of air. But right when you came back on was when they would always kind of lock back up, because all of a sudden you've opened that throttle up, a bunch of air goes in there, there's not much gas, and it takes a second for that gas, and then it gets really hot for a second, and it was already starting to melt, and now it melts. But the thing was with the TPI bike is you're on the gas and you shut it down, it can still pump the right amount of gas in there. It doesn't require the suction, the suction to draw that gas out of a carburetor bullet, still squirting it in there manually, so they can run it. You don't need that, like we'll call it residual gas or extra richness to kind of keep the motor cool. And the other thing you notice is even just on regular deceleration, 2-strokes typically go ding, ding, ding. When they.
I haven't ridden one of these bikes yet.
Yeah, these bikes don't do that. They do it very little. You can change the idle adjust and make it do that, but compared to we'll call it a properly jetted 2-stroke that has a lot of that bang, that deceleration bang, these don't have that. So,
while you're on this subject, let me ask you real quick. What about, I don't know if it matters that so much on 2-strokes, but what about the fuel mileage on FI bikes is so much better than carburetors? And what about the 2-strokes?
It's better. I don't want to say it's hugely better, but what I was told is actually the biggest savings is from the fuel not spilling out of the overflows.
Yeah.
And you remember
we
how
learned that in Baja.
Yeah, all the gas spilling out of the overflows.
Well, remember when they had the fuel foam?
Yeah.
You put that in there, and all of a sudden you got better gas mileage. It's like, well, it's just less is sloshing out that hose.
Yeah, well, that's the hose coming out of the top of the gas tank. But also, this is the stuff that used to come out of the bottom of the bowl. All those hoses. Remember, the carburetor had 20 hoses, coming out of it. There's none of that. You don't have that loss. But I think overall, it's jetted. It's quote jetted a little bit leaner, and so it is. Just by that nature, a little bit more fuel efficient. And I think that's the way it is. I put the JD jetting tool on that KTM mostly to experiment and play with it, because I have experience with them on the 4-strokes. It's very similar to the DynoJet Power Commander stuff that you run a lot on your bikes here. It's a very simple way that just with pushing a button, I can alter the fueling in different RPM zones. And if you need to know more about it, there's a video up in Dirt Bike Test that explains how they work and what they do. But I just did it to play with it and experiment with it because I hadn't done that before. Because before I start talking about something, I actually like to test it or to use it as opposed to read the press release and use it for 10 minutes and come and tell you. So the bike stock does not need it. I mean, if you're just going to leave it stock like most of the bikes, if you just leave them alone. But when you start changing things, and I intended to play with the power valve, and I was thinking about trying to spark a restaurant with other stuff. I just didn't have that time to do that. But if I was going to do that, I was going to need to probably alter the settings, and then I also wanted to feel what it felt like to make that bike richer and leaner, and change the transients. When you turn the throttle, I wanted to try all that stuff. So that's mostly why I put it on there. And I was, it's just like anything. You can tune it, you can customize it to the way you want the bike to work.
That's what I like most about fuel injection.
Yeah,
is you've got absolute control over everything.
Yeah,
there's so much more you can do.
Yeah, and so that's why it's on there. And if you ever plan to change something, people say, we get a lot of questions like that. Can I just, punch the screen out of my muffler? Can I just cut the screen out of the air intake? On the lean bikes and stuff. And this, and you just put one of your air filters on top of a KTM, it gets lean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to play around with the fueling. It's just the way that it works. So, hopefully that answers your question there. But I think the fuel injection is way better in the carburetor, even in these early stages. It's better, and I'm sure it's only going to get better as they play with it. So, especially when I find out why that jetting changes in the way that it does when it goes up and down in altitude.
Before we get any further,
yep,
we can take votes on this thing, right?
Votes?
We need to.
Oh,
I need a vote on which one we're going to open. We got 1942. Which is good. We got this one, which one of my employees, he's got a girlfriend in Guadalajara.
Yeah?
He likes the Mexican girls, too.
Uh-huh.
As I obviously do. And I gave him $100. I said, bring me back some. I think he got stung by the touristy people. And I think this is garbage.
Okay.
He paid $100 a month.
No, we're going. I want to go with the garbage. I'd like to try the garbage. And
it might be really good.
If it is garbage, I'll buy it off you and I'll take it back to Pahrump and I'll get it certified. I'll have a taste of it.
Okay, so we got 1942 and we got the Guadalajara. I think we're open.
I have had the 1942 before. I'm sure of it. I'm sure if Janie's on here, she can check my list.
So where am I looking for answers on this thing?
Ramiro's Bar. Answers.
Tim Gomi joined. What's up, Tim Gomi?
People start chiming in here. You just kind of scroll up and down on the thing there.
Are they at the bottom or the top? I'm a rookie at this. Sorry, guys.
I always forget.
He didn't prep me at all. He just threw me in the.
Yeah, you're in the hot seat.
Like, sit down and just talk, or listen to me talk, which is I don't really have much of a choice.
Well, don't worry. You're going to get all the comments. They're going to be, Jimmy, shut up and let your guests talk. And I'm like, no, it's my show. He should get his own show.
Jimmy, are you racing V2R? He did want to race it on my 790 back here, but
I had this crazy idea Friday at about noon, and I said I'll take a stock KTM 790 and ride Vegas to Reno, and I kind of started poking around and reaching out, and then at about 5 o'clock at Friday, it really didn't come together because that's how much I plan this kind of stuff, and so no, I'm not. Although Chris did. I think he sort of was.
About it.
You thought about it, yeah. He's got his 790.
Thought about it. I'm like, huh.
Yep.
I know you wouldn't crash it. That I do know.
No, I'll just cruise on it. I just wanted to. It was an idea where we were going to take the R, and then also the standard one. And Heather was going to, and I think I explained it to her. Maybe it's probably the second time, or maybe it's the first time she's heard this. She was going to ride up from Pahrump to Reno, and I was going to be doing the race on the race course. She'd ride up on the road. And then we would ride back down all off-road, just kind of the fun ways. And it was just going to be like, we were going to try to shoot it like the Tour of Idaho story. I thought it would be a good story. But it also requires a pretty good filming budget, and that didn't come around. So now I'm going to go to the lake and ride a watercraft around, because that's and then go riding at night. So that's what I like doing. Okay, so we fixed that one. Oh, I got another one here.
PBR in that keg. No, it's Pacifico.
Josh Shapiro asked, just picked up a TE150i this weekend for the kid to race in Works, National Hare and Hound, and some others. It had a lean bog cutout, high sustained RPM. Did you notice anything when you ran it? I raced one of these at the Works race up in Washington also. It seems like this is an issue on some TPIs. Now, Josh, you're going to love me for answering this question because it's I had no such experience, and I talked to 3 or 4 of the other journalists that raced the bike, and nobody had any issues like that. But I will tell you that, like I'm talking about fuel injection all the time, the throttle is way more sensitive. It's very sensitive to what you're doing. So I'm going to go with, I bet you that whoever is riding it when it's cutting out, their wrist is getting bounced around. And so you think you're wide open, and maybe it gets bounced to 20 or 30% less throttle and back on and off and on and off. And that is where your cutout is coming from. The bike is just responding to what's happening to the wrist. So may I suggest a riding lesson?
Ooh. Whoa. Harsh.
Yeah, no, I'm just telling you, I've seen it before.
Are we supposed to remind you when you're being a dick?
Yeah, they write down I'm got to apologize for Josh for that later.
What's this guy's name?
Josh, yeah.
Josh.
No, it's a lot. I promise you that those throttles are so responsive. A carburetor wouldn't respond as quick, and if the wrist is moving, it may feel like a cutout sensation. The other thing it could be is you could have some loose wires in there. There could be a wire that's getting smashed, grounded out, things like that. But I don't think there's anything inherently in the TPI system that would cause the bike to cut out. But like I said, I have seen riders that are kind of basically what happens is they're out of balance and they get bounced around and they try to hang on to the handlebars to solve their problem, and they turn the throttle in ways that they shouldn't. So don't ask me how I know.
My wife just joined. Look at that. Thanks, babe.
Hopefully they don't cut this is good internet. It's not like Ramiro's in the old day when the feed would just drop and stuff.
We got good Wi-Fi here.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed. We ran a speed test before I did this. I've learned a couple things in my short podcasting, live podcasting career at this point.
I got a question for us now. Can I jump in here?
Yes.
All right.
At any time.
Okay.
That's why you're the guest host.
Chuck Faul, F-A-U-L. Chuck. He says, how far along has Rottweiler gotten on the 790 Performance ads? I'm thinking about exhaust purely for the sound. Yeah.
Right. You might as well write Chuck down. I'm going to have to apologize him for a minute, too.
Here we go, Chuck. Sorry, Chuck.
Hey, I'll tell you what, he's working on it. I know he's working on it.
Well, the exhaust, a lot of the aftermarket are catching up. They're still catching up. That bike, I think, was released around the world around the same time. Like the Duke hit Europe a lot earlier than the U.S., so the European aftermarket companies like Aero and whoever else, they had to jump on it. The Adventure kind of hit at the same time, I think. Maybe Europe a little bit sooner. So they're just catching up. We do have a huge shipment of Aero, which is very popular, coming in, where they've got mufflers and some cat deletes. That bike, it can get a little bit loud. It sounds great, but it's going to be, be responsible.
The Aero stuff's usually pretty good, yeah?
It is.
It's quieter than some of the other stuff.
Yeah, they've got the decat with the little kind of muffler resonator in there. And I've got that on the Duke back here, and it sounds awesome, but it's, for if you're riding in areas where there's forest, I might just keep the cat in there and then just do the muffler. Where sound might be an issue.
Have you ridden any systems on your 790 yet?
No.
No, okay.
No, we haven't done that yet, but a lot of people are asking us about the mapping on the 790. Now, here's the deal. The new 790s, both the Duke and the Adventure, are Bosch systems, and the Bosch are incredibly difficult to deal with. The keyhins are easy. Everything else is keyhin. It's easy to put a piggyback on there or reprogram them. The Bosch systems are programmed with algorithms to where if you start messing with them, they get unhappy. And if you're talking to tuners, the guys who can actually get inside these things, which we're working with,
yep.
To get them kind of straightened out and ride better because they're extremely lean. The closed loop is huge on that bike, which means it's lean for a large portion of the map. Which they get good gas mileage, but they don't make as much power as they should. Bosch's
that bike. I mean, I'm really impressed with how much power they got out of that thing.
Yeah, we'll get more
at an 800. Yeah, I mean, at an 800, it feels like it's putting out pretty similar power to my 950.
It's interestingly enough, we dynoed both.
Similar similar power, but it takes a higher RPM to get that.
Yeah, it's a little bit steeper.
Yep.
Whereas like a 990, we dynoed my 990, which is highly modified.
Yes.
And that's got just a long gradual, and it just keeps building, and it's that kind of inline twin. And it basically, that one would go up to about 95 horsepower rear wheel. Okay. Fixed up. Stock, I think they were somewhere around 85, 80,
sounds right.
Something like that. The 790 is a little quicker revving. A lot of guys are complaining about flame outs, things like that. It does take a little bit of work on the clutch. We do have a Magura hydraulic clutch that we're testing here. We also have a CRG cable clutch where you can actually play with the ratio of how it lets out. I think, in my opinion, the clutch lets out a little quick on that bike. You can compensate for that. If you're a good rider, you can. But this way you can slow it down a little bit, which is good. That one ramps up a little bit quicker. Now, what's interesting about the 790 Adventure is it's got a different throttle body, a different cam, and different length velocity stacks than the Duke, the 790 Duke. So the Duke keeps climbing to 95 horsepower stock, and then basically it signs off at a higher RPM. The Adventure, with a different cam, smaller velocity stacks, longer velocity stacks, smaller and longer, which would make sense on a bike like that. It actually basically signs off at 82 horsepower stock, and that's it. Basically, at around 8,000, it just goes flat. So the Duke has,
but it still revs out to 95.
It does,
yeah,
but it just kind of signs off and actually starts heading downhill, which is really interesting. So the 790 keeps climbing, and it basically peaks out right about where it signs off, where the 790 Adventure kind of peaks out about 82 and then starts going downhill, then signs off. So there's literally a 13 horsepower rear wheel difference between those two models, just between a cam and a throttle body, which is really interesting to me. So we're interested to see what we can do when we remap them and do that. But the problem is these Bosch systems are really tough to crack, and anybody you talk to, they're like, yeah, we want to do it, but it's like
you can be messing up more than you.
No, it's not that. It's just
the work
there's
to get it right.
a lot of zeros and ones in there that they have to deal with. It's foreign to them, and they've kind of they're kind of Nazi.
Yeah.
It's a German product.
I would use a different word. Well, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. And so here's what Jimmy says is like when do you need how many 87 horsepower?
82.
When do you need that off road? What tire do you use that gets 82 horsepower's worth of traction?
These bikes aren't purely. I mean, what's the ratio of these? They're actually used off road. They're probably 70% if you were to able to track it.
I ride mine on the street and everything like that. And anytime I'm using 82 horsepowers on the street, I'm going to get a ticket.
Jimmy.
Rottweiler, you need to make a special throttle. It just says the grip. It just says turn me farther, and then to sell it for a lot. I
got stuff that'll tell me what I'm doing with my throttle.
Well, what's cool is that in Chris is what he's alluding to is they do take time to develop this stuff. That's why it's not just shoving it out and it's like, oh hey, I got a pipe and this is better. In reality, if you want it to work good, you've got to have a whole system that really because KTM spends a lot of time making that bike very, very rideable, and they also have to struggle with meeting all the emissions requirements and the stuff that goes along with that, emissions and sound, and so there's a lot of constraints there. But if you just throw a pipe on it, you may get like a little bit more power here, or maybe even way more power there, or something like that. But then I don't think you have the same drivability and throttle control and rideability. And I think when you start developing this stuff, and you have to say, what am I really using it for? If you're going to be overtaking semi-trucks on the highway, yeah, give me all that power. I want it. But just having something that's really broad and rideable, and I could see where if you're getting a little bit more torque out of kind of like the bottom mid on that bike.
Well, here's what happens when people as far as making power on these bikes, it basically starts with the beginning, middle, and end. Beginning being the intake, middle being the mapping, the end being the exhaust. And you also make power in that same direction. Basically, exhaust. I tell people, do exhaust for sound, for looks, for lightweight, for sure.
Yeah,
do it for power last, because mufflers don't really accomplish a whole lot. They will dump a lot of weight, and that's valuable. There's a valuable,
and you can reduce some heat buildup too inside the motor.
Reduce some heat build. A lot of guys on the 11 or the 1090s through 1290 Adventures, they complain about the massive amount of heat coming down there.
Yep.
So they want to get rid of the cat, so they go with an Aero catless header, that sort of thing. The good news about that bike is it runs such a large muffler, they don't really get that much louder.
Yeah.
But when you take a cat out on certain bikes, and there's a comment on here that says something about about loud bikes, and I agree with them completely.
Yeah.
I agree with them completely. Don't There are certain places where it's okay and you can do that and this sort of thing, and there's certain places where we encourage responsibility. Don't go out there. It's like there's all these laws, these sound laws. I mean, Huntington Beach is gnarly on motorcycles mainly because of Harleys. These guys go by and they sound like firecrackers.
Yeah.
So we don't really encourage that. We don't say go and out and do all this stuff. But as far as
it's in reality, a 4-stroke is literally pumping the exhaust out of the. You can free the pump up a little bit, but at the same time, it's not. And I think most guys, in all honesty, do it for the looks. That's
lightweight.
The weight
handling.
On the adventure bikes, it's kind of hard to feel the weight. I mean, when I was doing the delete exhaust off the side of my 950 was a big deal. I mean,
17 pounds to lose on that if you go to a single side out.
Yeah.
That's huge, and it's up high and back.
Yeah.
That's massive.
That's a lot of gear I could put on the bike, which I probably did. I had extra stuff on the side, but but to get a good tuned package is I think paramount, and I think a lot of people just bolt stuff on, and it's difficult to be able to test all that stuff, and that's kind of why companies like you guys exist, and hopefully sell that stuff when it's all tuned up. And I actually, for one, would love to ride a little bit boosted up 790 for sure. I like that bike.
John Beck says, Chris, you need to put yourself on the apology list for Jimmy's throttle comment.
What did he do? Was I being mean again?
No, I think that was the Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Josh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh.
No worries. So
which one of these are we opening? Are we doing this one?
Did we get comments on that? Well, let's take you guys are going to help drink it, right? Everybody, yeah, for sure.
Oh man.
Okay, so we're gonna open. Blame it on Jimmy. We're gonna open the cheap stuff, or is it? It wasn't cheap, was it?
This was $100.
Oh, let's see.
I think it got taken. We'll see.
I don't know. You never know. That Loma Azul, you bought it because it was cheap, and it turned out to be really good. So, okay, a couple other questions I have on my sheet beforehand. I got a question about
your wife's
all of the
first to step up for this tequila.
Yeah, you rode your bicycle down here, yeah? Good.
No, it's because she's spending the night with you tonight. That's why.
Give yourself a check mark on the list for apologies. And a lot of the motocross bikes that we're testing recently have different levels of traction control. I know Honda just came out with their 450. We just did an impression on it on the site, and there was a lot of traction control stuff going on. KTM's had it for a few years. And everybody kind of asks, like, what is this traction control stuff? And we can even talk about it on 790 because that one's actually probably
that's excellent.
One of the best traction control systems that I've used because it is so tunable. Actually, it's on 1290. Same system or
no,
similar?
It's not. They have 1290 doesn't have the rally modes like this has.
Okay, it doesn't have the tunability of all those levels. But anyways, so it's. On these, they have sensors on the wheels because there's a lot of stuff going on adventure bikes. But on the motocross bikes, there's really no sensors other than the traction control is it's the ECU realizing that the rate of RPM in the engine is increasing at a rate that's faster than what would be, good traction. Like it notices that, hey, the wheels, it's moving. All of a sudden, it starts moving quicker. And by the wheel, I mean the countershaft sprocket.
Well, it's the speed sensor. It's the ABS rings as well, front and rear.
It knows what gear it's in, and it knows that at that gear it shouldn't spin up this fast. And because it's all connected, there's no wheel sensor. There's not a sensor on the it's just rate of RPM increase goes up, and then they do something. Generally in the fueling on the motocross bikes, on the adventure bikes they actually play with the butterfly valves. They'll actually,
it's all fly-by-wire.
It's fly-by-wire, so they can do it. So this traction control stuff is definitely evolving in the motocross world as well, and it really depends.
Now, are those bikes fly-by-wire?
No, nope. They're still cable. So
are they doing it through the ignition?
It's either they're not cutting the ignition. They're reducing the fueling, or they're doing stuff with the fueling and the ignition timing so that it doesn't rev up. And it's like everybody's getting into it here. I got to have a sip of this stuff here.
It's not bad.
Yep.
Anybody? Yeah, they're stepping up now. This is going to get
they wanted to, if you turned around and spit, that's when they were going to let it go.
Here we go. We got Lance back here.
Just
come on.
Don't hit me in the head with that thing. So anyways, the traction control is especially on like hard pack tracks and stuff. It's just a way for the bikes to
You got to come back here.
not rev up so quick because they do make so much power. And then, the KTM and the Husky have 2 different modes of it, and I think the Honda now has 3 different modes. It's just an ignition. Be careful where you snap that thing next. You're going to blow my ear out.
Oh, sorry, dude.
That thing, yeah. Traction control. It's kind of I think when they go to fly-by-wire, and that's when it gets really good. Mm-hmm. Because all of a sudden, instead of, you can kind of keep the power, and it figures out, hey, the wheel's spinning, so I'm just going to back the throttle off a little bit, which is ideally what a really good rider kind of does. And they can kind of do that in the throttle as opposed to kind of monkeying with the fuel and ignition, which it's weird because as a rider, sometimes you actually want the bike to spin up, and this is the problem I have with the current traction control on the motocross bikes. I'll do something where I want the bike to spin up because I'm looking at the ground. I know, hey, it's going to spin up here, but then it's going to load. There's good traction just a little bit farther, and then it will pull. It'll pull, but the bike's actually kind of tuning the power down, and I want more power because I know it's going to hook up on something. So it kind of counteracts maybe what I'm doing. Where the fly-by-wire stuff, when you do that, you keep bending into the throttle, and
it'll feed it in as it sees fits. With a lot of algorithms happening.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, anyways,
this bike right here, when you and I we tested the 790s,
yes,
we went out to Murrieta.
Correct.
There was a section where there was like silt, then sand, and then cross ruts, and I could see them all in a row, and I just hammered the thing and just held it wide open, and it actually accelerated harder than I could have done with my wrist. Using my wrist without traction control at all. I mean, it just all of a sudden it just hooked up, and it went really, really well. I mean, it surprised the hell out of me.
What what number was it in? So there's 1 to 9, correct?
Yeah, there's 1 to 9. So the way you can remember what it is like if you're a number 1 rider, number 1 is like the closest to MTC off. Okay, so number 9 is
the most aggressive.
Is the least aggressive.
It's the most aggressive addition of traction control. The traction control will do the most in level 9, the least in level 1.
You could literally come around a corner on a hard-packed, marbly road and just smack it wide open, totally irresponsibly, and it just goes, hurt, and then that's it. It just reels it back in instantly, and it was really impressive.
And so in 1, it'll let you slide quite a bit.
A little bit longer, It gets more aggressive with the acceleration. It waits a little bit longer.
And then in 9, it won't. It barely even steps out.
Yeah, number 9, I think it's like when there's just a little bit of difference between the ABS rings.
Yep.
Even the slightest amount, it reels it back in. Whereas like number 1 allows a bigger disparity between the two.
Yeah,
so it allows you to wheelie over something.
I hope that motocross bikes are going to go to fly-by-wire and get this much better. Because I remember when the traction control used to be rev cut on the adventure bikes. The older ones where it killed the spark, and you're just like, oh god, because it literally chops. It's like someone on and off, and it's horrible. But so that's kind of where the stuff is. I think it's a little bit gimmicky in some ways, but then, if you start learning to ride with the traction control, even the kind of the newer versions of it on the motocross bikes, if you just start getting sloppy with your throttle and let it work, it actually works. It really does. So I'm kind of coming from a guy who's always had to be very careful on high-powered bikes with my wrist because it was going to get me in trouble. And now it's like maybe I'm not that high. I'm a rider that I really want to have a 450, and I it might be a little bit too much, but I can just put it in this traction control mode, and the bike will work properly. So,
and you know what's great about that is it opens up that model bike. It opens it up to a wider range of riders. There's a lot of guys that are maybe afraid to get on a bike like this or afraid to buy it. And when the reports come in, it's like, you know what, you can be an inexperienced rider, and this thing will reel it back in, and it does it responsibly and does it really well.
So when you
surprisingly well.
when you hear about, like I said, when you hear about or listen to a lot of these impressions and stuff that are written by test riders that are pro level guys, and I'm not pro anymore. I used to be. I'm complaining about it. I always have to reel myself back in and go, hey, wait a minute, this actually might be kind of a good thing. So that's why I do try to test everything. And you saw this when we went out testing. Mm-hmm. I'm doing all this weird stuff. Like people when they're riding with me, what are you doing that for? I'm testing the bike. I'm trying to see what it does. I'm like, why do you hit those bumps? Because I want to see what the suspension does, or I want to see what the traction control does, or something.
I was asking John, and John Beck was with us, and I'm like, what number? We had the Sennas.
Yeah,
I'm like, what number are you in? He's like, I'm in 4. What are you in? I'm an 8. And we kept going back and forth, like comparing and contrasting what it would do, and it was fun. It made it fun.
Yeah.
And I think like less experienced riders can actually be less fearful of a sandy section or a marbly section, whereas, some guys may not, I don't know. And I'm all for anything that's going to open up motorcycles to a wider range of enthusiasts to some degree, unless they're riding on the trails you don't want them to know about.
No, I mean, no, I want them to go find them. I'm not going to tell them where they're at.
Okay.
That's
Fair
it.
enough.
That tequila's not bad.
Not bad.
I would give it a 1 happy face on my rating scale.
Out of how many happy
3.
faces?
3 is the best.
Okay.
That's a 1.
I think we'll open up the Don Julio next.
Okay, then it might change the rating, but
That's a 3 happy face.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to open up the questions to the floor here. I have you can ask us anything motorcycle or motorcycle product related.
I like just anything.
Oh, I can get in trouble with that. Did you find out whether we get questions on YouTube Live yet?
Oh,
is that happening? Oh, look at that! Yes, I just saw a bunch of stuff scrolling over on the side on the.
Here.
Look,
God!
Oh
I didn't see
boy!
that part.
Okay,
Oops.
we're gonna have to get that. Okay, so do we have any questions over here? Anybody?
I don't know what's old and what's new. Mike Brown.
Yeah. I know we've thoroughly confused everybody beyond the level of asking questions.
Okay, Danny says where the girls at?
Where the girl?
We need all the girls up here. We're gonna spice this up. You, both of you. What, me?
Yeah.
Where are the girls at? The girls are right here. Can I introduce everyone to my lovely wife?
Yes, absolutely.
Can I put her on camera?
Yes.
Everybody,
she can grab a microphone and say hi.
This is my lovely wife, Mariel, right here. I met her pre-running the Baja 1000 in Mexico, and she married me 8 or 9 years ago.
I don't know.
And she's stuck around ever since. She's stuck around,
keep
but
count.
she understands.
I don't really know.
She understands the motorcycle math. You know what the motorcycle math is? You know how many motorcycles a man should own?
As many shoes as I should have?
There's that. There's that.
That's it?
The amount,
Or purses.
Purses?
the amount of motorcycles a man should own is always +1.
+1.
And she gets that math, and that's why we have such. You're the best, baby.
Awesome.
That's my wife, Meryl. She's the one. If you guys call in and you're like, you got questions about shipping, or it's this one here, and she's awesome with people. She loves good customer service.
I do.
Well, thank you. Yep. And she makes mean salsa.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. So
And she doesn't like tequila, which is weird.
More for you. So, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got are there other questions over there?
Facebook has a little lag compared to YouTube. Yeah, it does. YouTube is a little bit more instant, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's
it's about
quicker?
a 3-second lag, and Facebook is like 30 seconds.
Good. I'm glad that our research specialists are out there doing that. I'm going to start ripping down the.
YouTube Live sounds great.
Good.
Where are the girls at? We answered that.
Yep.
That older dude with the white hair must be thirsty. Which one was that? I think that was Lance. Lance Kane. He keeps... Who's... Or maybe Andy.
Yes, question. We got a question. Uh-huh.
The older he gets, the faster.
Okay. I'm going to repeat your question. Okay.
I know where the blubber is on the low end. I mean, back then, there was no blubber on the low end. We were never there.
Okay, so let's. I'm gonna run through the question here. Your name is Dennis. Okay, so Dennis has a question, and I was going to repeat it, but we'll let him repeat it because I don't think anybody heard it. So go ahead and grab that microphone.
You killed my mic, right?
I did for a second when you're doing that.
Repeat the question.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Is that the right microphone? Hold on a second here. turn it on. That would help. There's a switch right on top of it. Look at this. We're a professional operation here.
You going to mix the two?
Go ahead. Can we hear you?
I
can hear you. Yes,
okay.
we can hear you.
Okay. My question, from a long time rider, I've been racing motorcycles for 45 years. In the old days, we rode, we raced, we had people come up and say, hey, could you ride my bike? It doesn't seem to run down low. I got a blubber in the mid-range. You get on the bike and you're riding and you don't feel the mid-range because we don't ride in the mid-range. Now, I'm much older, and we realize where that mid-range is. And I don't have a bike that's fuel injected, so
Yep.
I spend a lot of time on my bikes trying to get rid of that mid-range blubber.
The mid-range blubber. So, okay, what bike are we talking about?
450X.
You should really focus on your mid-range blubber there.
Yeah.
Give yourself another check mark.
Oh, man.
I would really like to sit down and tell you what I think about
Okay,
it.
so he's talking about a 450X, or just
and a
anyway.
300 TE Husky. Those
Okay.
are my two bikes right now.
Okay, so when you're talking about like in the old days, you didn't feel the mid-range blubber, or is it because you were just riding, just racing them and riding them up in the top end?
We were going faster.
Going faster.
We're going
Okay,
faster.
you're racing it faster, and now you're starting to feel all these different jetting inconsistencies. Boy, I'm thinking about the two bikes. Is your Husky the one with the Mikuni on it?
No, they're both Keyhans.
They're both Keen, so it's a little bit older one.
It's an 18.
It's a what?
It's an 18.
18. Mikuni, it has a Mikuni on it then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of part of the problem. There's some jet kits that actually help that bike quite a bit. Stock, and then what are you running for oil mixture on the Husky?
Doing what they recommend.
60 to 1?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Because people are a lot of times running like 40 to 1, and they wonder why it doesn't
Well,
write.
that scares me.
The oils are getting better. It's not like the old days.
scares
Yeah,
me.
you don't have to run the 20 to 1 caster anymore. So, but I think what like what you're feeling is you need to get a TPI bike. just go buy the fuel injected one. All those problems go away. And then you will really realize how kind of finicky the carburation can get. And then on the 450X, and a lot of times you've taken a bike that actually the stock Honda 450Xs run really well, but nobody leaves them stock. We always take the little stuff out of the exhaust, and you put an exhaust system on it, and they open up the airbox, and then all of a sudden you're in this can of worms. It's like, what should I do with the jetting? And there's some jet kits that are very specific about what pipe to run and what air intake or switch the ignition and different things you can do, but it's difficult to kind of tune all that stuff. And God help you if you have to actually change the jetting on your Honda. Have you gone into that carburetor and changed anything?
Yeah. My 450X.
So 4 hours later,
my
after
450X is a full Baja race bike with a license plate.
Did you have Chris do it?
No.
You should have him do it.
No.
He can make that thing good. His bike ripped, but he doesn't do Hondas anymore.
nobody
Hondas
rides
are just
orange and black
no
until work
Hondas
on my
around
Honda.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Orange and black is Harley Davidson racing colors. KTM just stole it.
Okay.
Oh, it's fluorescent orange and black. It's not
Yeah.
the same.
So, anyways, I think that's a tough one. It's just that the problem is, and if you get a chance to ride someone's fuel injected bike, then you know how bad yours is.
I get that.
And then it's like, but it like with any jetting problem, it's like knowing, okay, where's the problem? Like where in the throttle? Okay, how is that correlated to what needle position is it? Is it a needle issue? Are we off the pilot jet? Are we onto the main jet? Is it the nozzle? There's 1,000 questions, and I'm so happy these days to push a button on a tuner and quote fix that. And I have boxes and boxes of jets because I used to do this all the time, and I have two 450Xs, and I hate them because we have to clean the carburetors on them. I've got them jetted pretty close to perfect, but it's nowhere near as good as any fuel-injected bike. So I have to say that I feel for you, and yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
Did you just want me to like rattle off a 420 main jet and a NZ
because like I said,
you
you don't know what my bike has got.
Yeah.
I mean, you have you couldn't tell me what to throw in it to make it work.
Correct. And this be a lesson to everybody that sends in the questions and stuff when they say, hey, I want to make my bike run better. What do I do? It's like, well, you could start by telling me which bike you have. That's why I had to ask. I started going down that path. And you gave me a couple bikes that I'm familiar with, and then I started rattling off kind of what I thought were solutions. But on the Husky, there are some jet kits that are actually really good, and then there's some complete carburetor swaps that work out well. The Mikuni, good carburetor if you want to jet it a lot and you want to get the maximum power at a certain location and stuff. Great. If you want a little more range and range in your jetting, the Kian works better. And I know some people that really like the Electrons or the what's the other carb? They're kind of Electron, and there's another one called a Smart Carb or something, or is that the same thing? But I'm not a fan of those. They actually have a bigger range, but I'm not a fan of those because you tend to lose a lot of throttle, a lot of snap or throttle response, which makes it more like fuel injection, but not exactly.
One other quick question.
Got it.
You go on YouTube and everybody talks about cutting the airbox out.
On
the 300, not on the 400.
On the Huskies.
On the Husky.
Yep.
Cutting it out or opening it up?
Opening it up.
Opening it up.
Yeah. So the Huskies typically have a slightly more restrictive airbox than the KTM, but in my world, like
which is a sound thing, right?
Or
do these bikes have to?
No, it's a two-stroke, so it's not a sound issue.
So they don't have to.
I mean, unless you're doing really snappy throttle, or kind of on the gas pretty hard, you're not going to notice that change. Okay. So. I mean, that's like kind of an internet thing, It's like it's just the easy thing to say. Yeah, cut the airbox. And I actually kind of prefer the Husky power delivery when I've been riding the Husky, then the very similar Husky and the very similar KTM. The overall, I found the Huskies this is both 2 and 4 strokes. I kind of like the way that power delivery and I think it had to do with the airbox more than anything else because it's same engine, same pipes, and they always say the ECU is different, but I don't believe them. So.
Well, thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
No worries. Yeah, thanks
and
for.
You suck, Chris.
I love you, Dennis.
We had another question. Yeah, come up, grab the microphone. So you're going to see that I do this without referring to any reference manuals. I'm trying to do this. Okay, state your name and state your case.
Hey guys, Lance Keane here. Glad to be here.
Yeah,
Glad
thanks for
you guys
coming
got
by.
Together on this. So here's a good question. Or in my mind, it's a good question. 13 990 Baja Edition, Rottweiler intake, throttle tamer, all the good stuff. Put a lot of Baja miles on that bike, mostly dirt.
So this is a KTM 990, the white one.
Baja.
Yeah.
That was the best one.
Yeah.
The best
so
one
I had
ever.
it all done up.
Yep.
Good suspension. I'm 220. I'm 6'3", so a bigger rider. I like the bike, heavy bike compared to a lot of other Baja bikes that I've spent time on. So give me a comparison to this new 790.
No comparison.
So just talk to me a little bit because I got
I'll tell you, man. I've been like the Charlton Heston of like you can't pry that 990 from my cold dead hands for a long time. Yeah. This is honestly, and I mean this honestly, this is honestly the first bike that's actually broached like the idea of possibly even selling my 990. And I'm not even remotely kidding.
I tend to agree with them. I'm going to kind of get a little more detailed. It's stuff. I think the thing you're gonna biggest change between the two bikes is like kind of the ergonomics and the size, the feeling of the bike. This bike to me feels 40 to 50 pounds lighter.
It's exactly what it is.
Really?
Soaking wet. Bone stock soaking wet full of fuel. The 790 is 470 pounds.
Yep.
The 990, your bike, with everything on it, was closer to 540.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's 70 pounds.
So it definitely feels like that. Which I would say if they were actually the same weight on the scale, it wouldn't surprise me that they were the same weight. But so it feels
70 pounds.
Feel lighter. A lot lighter, and I think the 790 is a little more of a compactor, tighter chassis. It's not as you're not going to feel like it's as roomy. And in the beginning, it might bug you, but It's still, I bet you when you measure it out, it's not as much as it seems. I think it's more of a visual thing on the the way that the bikes are shaped. But and I feel, well, I have to take this back because I always put taller seats on my adventure bikes, even at someone that's 5'10", barely. And I feel on my 950, I have a really tall seat, and I felt very cramped on the 790, because I felt like, especially on the standard one, I felt I was sitting on the pocket. So I feel like if I could just get a slightly taller seat, but I stand up on them so much it doesn't make a big difference. But when I go to sit down, I don't want to fold myself up. And at your size, you're going to fold up pretty good on that 790.
Well, we did that live podcast before from out in that canyon.
Yep.
And he had mentioned that on you'd come into like certain G outs off road, and on the big bikes you check up a little bit. And you had mentioned, you said, on the 790 I don't feel like I checked up as much. Like you
don't. Yeah,
it instills a bit of confidence.
The suspension really works good. I mean, it's
Suspension's much better.
It's what 15 years of development does. It's just that the bike is that much better. I know a lot of people miss the 950, 990 platform, and I was kind of one of the ones that really liked it when the 1190 came out. I really like my 1090, and I think it was mostly because I've been able to get back on a PDS shock, which made a big difference. Because on my 950 I have a PDS shock on it, and it makes a big difference compared to the stock one. So. You just go to the local KTM dealer and just put a bunny down.
Yeah. Come ride mine. Money, pay full retail. My biggest problem has always been ergonomics because I'm a taller rider.
Yep.
Most bikes aren't set up for somebody 6 foot or over, so you've got to invest in, if you're heavier, suspension. If you're taller, you got to put a triple on it.
Not necessarily. Everybody wants to go to bar risers,
So
and I've been for a long time. I've been especially like on a lot of times on the adventure rider crowd. I always say you're drinking the high bar Kool-Aid. You want to go to these high bars. In reality,
Rocks risers, baby. Rocks risers.
I have them on a couple of my bikes, and they're great. But it's you want to position it, not the 17-inch tall ones, that bring you up here, but it depends on how your body's designed, whether you have a tall torso or tall legs, or how, where you bend and where you pivot, and it is a personal thing. I'm always telling people, hey, look at lowering the foot pegs is the first way to get yourself kind of in position, because then you don't have to rise the seat up so much. But people tend to get bars that start pushing them backwards on the motorcycle, not up but back. But if you think about it, when you're riding, you're actually kind of folding forward, but when you're stationary, you're not doing what you're doing when you're riding. You're not leaning forward. So before you kind of go down that train, I would spend a little time riding the bike, and while you're riding about it, thinking like, where do I really want these handlebars? Like, am I stretching in a certain direction to reach them? And when you're riding is important. When you put it on a center stand and the guy says, "Oh, look, your arms are too short," my arms are too short too.
Well, I mean, I can use this to plug a product, and that's like the BRP stabilizer mounts. Now, BRP, they usually, when they fit a stabilizer underneath, they push the bars up an inch and forward an inch, so it's going to give you a little bit more room. I don't know if it's forward an inch, but it's forward. I mean, what do you?
It's up 3/4. I think on the BRP, I don't know about.
They're usually around 24 millimeters.
Yeah, it's up a little bit, and I don't know how far forward I don't know
They're
the exact
forward.
dimensions. It's a little bit.
20 millimeters or so.
Yeah, and a lot of times just doing that in order to get a steering stabilizer. I've never met a bike that didn't like a steering stabilizer. By the way, especially one that can be adjusted properly. There's all kinds of things that you're going to get the bars in the right spot, but just avoid going for super tall handlebar risers.
Yeah. I've always, maybe it's my mentality as a older rider.
Write that down. Apologize to all the handlebar manufacturers. Taller bar risers.
Rocks.
Yeah, but 20 years of riding in Baja and being tall, I've always gone right to the BRPs. I mean,
you can do like IMS
pegs.
pegs.
It's been a standard for me, and maybe there's different concepts now and lowering pegs and things like that. But maybe on my 790, I'll take a new vision. Thanks, guys.
Come ride
mine.
Ride mine.
Ride Chris's. I was going to ride it. Let's see.
That short seat on it.
Hey, I got a question for you here. One of the guys asked. He says, "Why not a piggyback system like the like a PVC. I think he's talking about the Power Commander
For
the 790.
can't do it yet.
Can't do
and
it.
I'll tell you exactly why. We do have power commanders for the 790. The problem is you can't, the way,
It's so tied in, it's actually taking readings off the exhaust, and if you change one thing,
well, basically, here's how this works. Is basically on the other bikes with keyhand systems. So that's like 1090 through 1290, Adventure, 690, 701. They all have keyhand systems. Basically, the way you remap a bike with a piggyback is all it does is it hijacks the signals that the ECU is sending to the fuel injectors at a certain RPM and throttle position. There's some other things in there, but to keep it simple, that's all it's doing is taking that signal and adding plus or minus a percentage to that signal. So the wider the bandwidth, the richer it is, the narrower, the leaner it is. So in order to do that, you need to fool the ECU into thinking the O2s are fine with what's happening. So you have narrowband O2s in the exhaust system, okay?
Yep.
The narrowband O2s are basically sending a signal via millivolts to the ECU telling it what's going on with the exhaust, and the ECU is constantly adjusting to keep the emissions where exactly they want them, which is 14.7 AFR, air-fuel ratio. On the keyhand systems, you can put a little dongle in there with some resistors that basically feed it the same signal all the time. Okay? So, and they're fine with it. They basically, okay, I'm getting this same signal, and it's always the same, and it's not programmed to think that getting a signal that is the same all the time is a bad thing. It's just
Okay.
like, okay, I'm getting this signal.
everything's good. We're fine.
I stick to this. Now, there is still some slight adjustments for altitude and other things. You still have barometric pressure sensors in play, temperature sensors, manifold air pressure sensors. Those still work, and it still adjusts for altitude. It's just not taking into compensation what is happening in the exhaust. Conversely, with the Bosch systems, with these new 790s, the Bosch system is set with an algorithm where if you put a dongle in there that feeds it the same signal all the time, it's told if I'm getting the same signal all the time, there's a problem.
Okay.
Engine light. So we've been able to remap these things. We have put dongles in there. We have done it. We've only done 50% of it. So there's basically two things. Two things you're trying to do is you're trying to remap it, and you have to basically fool the ECU into thinking, the O2s are still in play. So we're trying to remap it, and we're also trying to keep the engine light off.
Yeah.
We can remap them, but the problem is, you'll still have the engine light. It's programmed to where it's like, you know what? There's something wrong. I shouldn't be getting the same signal all the time. I should be getting a signal that's doing this.
Yeah.
And when the keyhands, if they get the same signal, they're like, yeah, I'm fine with that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that is the problem with the Bosch systems. And Dynojet isn't going to do anything about it because they've kind of backed off on some of that stuff. We're looking into some guys who can actually get into the thing and change some things. The problem is they kind of go, okay, this is going to be a lot of work. And so what we're trying to do is find a way that we can pay these guys up front to where they can actually go in there and it's like, listen, we'll pay you. Come, go in there and help us work on these things. These new bikes are tough. Admittedly. We can do it, but we haven't done what we've done with the key and stuff. So
Yeah, it's like anything, and I'm always kind of
off-road use only.
Yeah, I'm always kind of amazed when people announce that they have products like the day after the bike's released or something like that, and half the time
companies.
Yeah, I mean, how much testing do they really do? And I mean, I know there's times
they want to be to first base.
Yeah, when times when bikes get released and the bikes are before they're released, they're given to certain companies, and different people can do different things. On the motocross side, it's pretty prevalent. Mm-hmm. Especially with team-related sponsors where they have access to that kind of stuff. But even with that, sometimes it's just we're just hacking together this product, sticking it on there, getting a picture of it, and they're still doing their testing. I mean,
or they're beta testing with their customers.
Yeah. A lot of times I get sent stuff.
Allow.
I get stuff sent to me, and it's pre-production, but it's already listed on their websites like we're selling it. I'm like, you're not selling it like this, are you?
Right.
And it's like.
There's a lot to be said to being the first base, but a lot of times we're last.
Yeah.
Because we pay attention, we see what everyone else is doing, and we take our time. We want to do it right. We want to deliver quality, and there's something to be said financially for the bottom line of that company to do what they're doing, but it's disingenuous to the end user.
Yeah.
Because they're delivering something that doesn't work. There's a lot of exhaust companies that just put stuff out there. There's zero testing behind it. They just put it out there, and they lose horsepower. And that's why this dyno is here, is because we test it all, and we're like,
yeah.
And we don't sell what doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about dynos.
Okay. And by the way, somebody was saying that you would out tequila me. You're not even close to out tequila me right now. You haven't even touched that thing.
That's everybody thinks I drink a whole bunch and stuff, but
You do.
it's that you're watching it in effect right now. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, let's have this. Yeah, this is the Don Julio.
This is Don Julio.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not that crap my employee, Bobby. Thanks, Will. You bought some.
You know what? I actually like the crap that his employee bought him better.
In what?
I like the other stuff better.
Yeah,
I think so.
Have at it, man.
Yeah, no, I don't need that much. So it's funny because Chris is. I mean, you have to in this thing be really aware of your dyno charts and because a lot of people want to see it, and just like we were what was the other thing we were just hitting on a little while ago that people they want stuff first, which and then they want to, how much more power does it make? And again, this is the Jimmy Lewis dirt bike test free tip of the night. If you want more power, you can turn the throttle farther. So
shut up, Jimmy.
And how do you? It's not selling anything. I told you. Make that Rottweiler throttle grip that has this. It just says "turn me farther" for more power. Turn me farther. It works with anything you have on your bike. But see, a dyno is 100% traction. It's got your wheel is stuck to that drum, so you get 100% traction. And we're talking about off-road stuff, so it's very rare that you're going to get that 100% traction. And a lot of times what comes out in a dyno is a really good horsepower number, just means excessive wheel spin.
Very much so.
To a guy that's riding stuff. And that's why I jokingly say, like we're complaining about the 7 horsepower that the 790, no, I'm not complaining about it, you are, about the 790 Adventure over the 790 Duke. It's got a 7 horsepower loss at peak RPM, at peak throttle. It's like I'm sitting there thinking, and all those miles that we rode the 790, that we spent 100 miles on them that day, when was I actually using it? Maybe the 3 or 4 times on the street that I actually kind of really got the bike to peak horsepower and peak RPM. But yet people are going to look at the dyno chart and go, I'm going to get that because it makes 2 more horsepower. And I know you're.
I can answer that.
I know you're a lot more particular because you will look at like the lower part of the power band a lot.
We'll look at partial throttle readings.
Yeah.
Every single step of the way.
Yeah.
We don't just look at 100% throttle. That's useless.
Yeah. And it's good, but you're not going to release a dyno chart that shows a partial throttle reading.
We have. We have. It basically looks like a tapering off rainbow.
Yeah.
So basically we'll do 100%, 80%, 60, 40, 20, 15, 10, and 5.
Yeah.
And they'll basically, and we'll do before and after so you can see every single one of them. A lot of companies don't do that because they're trying to sell something.
Yeah, well, because it's a lot of times if you're working on those partial throttle things, you would not have the same setup as if you were going for that peak, that peak number.
Well, everybody looks at the peak numbers and they're useless.
Yeah,
They're useless.
You're never riding the bike there. And here's
they're
the
usually
other.
by red line.
Here's the other thing. I'm gonna build a dyno in my garage right down the street here, and my dyno is gonna put out more horsepower than your dyno. I'm gonna tune it. I'm gonna tune my dyno so whatever I have, it'll make more horsepower in my dyno, and then I'm gonna win.
Okay.
Everybody knows that about dynos, right? Like they're all supposed to be standardized, and it's like some dynos are better than other dynos. When we were at Dirt Rider, we actually took some bikes to a certain place's dyno and ran them there, and took them to another place's dyno and ran them there, and got 2 different sets of numbers. Similar, pretty similar, but it's a tool. It's a tool that you use to tune, and you have to know I've ridden stuff that's just been 100% dyno tuned, and some of it is pretty good, and some of it is absolute junk. And the chart that you see based off the dyno did not correlate very well, especially the horsepower chart. The torque charts were a lot more realistic in my world. When I would look at that stuff, the torque charts made sense. But I've seen a lot of that stuff that's I'm not a big fan of dynos, as you know.
I know you're not, and I'm working on that. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility in owning a dyno. There's a lot of ways to cheat, and usually, I mean, you can come in and there's an atmospheric probe on there. So basically, somebody who's dynoing bikes up in, Colorado Springs at 10,000 feet is somebody's going to be like, man, Rottweiler's making so much more horsepower than you. What's their, and it's like it's not fair to them. So they actually have atmospheric probes on there. So basically, it's Oh God, I'm drawing a blank, but it's
Maybe it's because you drank too much tequila.
It could be, but it's corrected power.
Yes.
It's called corrected
Yeah.
power. So basically, what they do is they take the atmospheric pressure into account, and they report the corrected power. You can do uncorrected. So if you did uncorrected, the guy in Colorado Springs is going to make way less horsepower than me. But if it's corrected power, they should
be the same.
In theory, match. So what we try to do is when we put out numbers, I'll run through like a whole bunch of baselines, and I will look at them all, and I will mark one best.
Yeah.
And then I'll do, then I'll modify the bike, and then I'll look at all those, and I'll mark that best. And when we report, it's super easy to report the worst one of the baseline and the best one of the.
Oh, yeah.
We only report the best of all of them, and we do it at part throttle. And it's a tool in a quiver of tools to get to a goal. It's not the end result. A lot of guys are like, "What's the peak numbers?" And we always tell them, "Don't look to the peak numbers. That doesn't matter." It's like a lot of times it'll signify there's a huge hole in the power curve, and we're able to fill that hole to make the power curve a lot more linear, which is, as you know,
and
going to make traction.
that's something you can see on dynos.
Yeah.
You can see these holes and these fluctuations and stuff. And just like kind of like, have you ever put a bike on traction control on a dyno by chance? Have you run traction control modes on it?
I have.
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see what that does. That does too. What that does to the power.
Rain mode on the Duke puts out 5 horsepower less at peak.
Yeah,
and you could see it.
Yeah. But it's the same thing.
But it's not using the ABS rings though, because the front wheel isn't turning.
Yeah,
so it's
disable.
different.
Yeah. It's not actually. It's
There's
actually
a whole cocktail.
It's not working. Yeah, it's not working. So, yeah. So I like I said, I always like to explain that to people. And when you're thinking about this, when you're buying stuff based on a dyno chart, that's not necessarily the first round of thing. What, you got to go to bed? It's too late.
He's got
Hour.
Yeah.
It's.
What's the point?
There's people are still interested in this. So hopefully,
How many
think
people are watching? Can we tell?
26 on the Facebooks. The YouTube feed looks like it kind of collapsed here, but I can't tell. I'm going to answer the last couple questions and then go on a rant.
From a longtime quad racer.
Oh,
right here.
So somebody said that if he lets his KTM 150 TPI, or I don't know, he didn't actually say it was a TPI. If I let my KTM 150 idle for 60 seconds and whack the throttle, it bogs. Why was it idling for 60 seconds? That's what I want to know. I mean, that's not a practical application of. Can everybody out in the world hear that weed blower?
Got a crack gardening crew.
Hey, did you get them to do that because we're going too long? Is that your way to kick us out of here? Now I'm getting kicked out of the Rottweiler with the boss sitting next to me.
Trying to figure out why gardening happens at 8:30 at night.
Let's see, miles per gallon, 350 XCW. The differences. I'm looking at it. Wow. There's a lot of questions there, Brad. You're asking a lot. He wants to know the mileage on 4 different motorcycles, and if he wants to ride more than 200 miles on the Tour of Idaho. That's getting pretty complicated. You're going to have to send me an email on that one.
I got one.
Got it.
Good evening, guys, from a longtime quad racer.
With a thumb throttle.
I've always felt that I had more control with that over twist throttle. Why not see them on dirt bikes? Because that'd be stupid.
Okay, write down you're going to apologize to all the quad racers now.
Oh, God, I used to be one. Shit, did I say that out loud?
Yeah, I saw that. It was that Quadzilla 500 you used to have near the shop.
250.
Oh, you needed a 500. Actually, I've actually had people come to our school that actually had the thumb throttles.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah, they had wrist problems, and it was just a way for them to kind of operate the throttle more efficiently for them. I don't get it because in reality, you think about the dynamics of the hand, and you're going to kind of turn your wrist, but who knows?
You know what? If it gets them on a motorcycle, I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
I love.
I kind of agree with that too. In Wales, they let you ride Wales and waves. Oh, waves to waves. I thought he was in Wales.
Benjamin Cipher. What are your thoughts on the reliability of FI versus carb for big off-road rides, i.e. Baja or Tour of Idaho? Well, I've ridden my 990 to Cabo a number of times. Didn't have an issue. That being said, I do a lot of preventive maintenance, like filtering the fuel as it enters the tank, filtering the fuel as it comes out of the tank, filtering the fuel at the fuel injectors or before it hits the fuel injectors. I filter everywhere.
Just being smart, yeah.
And filter the hell out of it. And I see people that have problems clogged fuel injectors, and it's like, just when you buy the bike, just buy as many filters as you can. There's nothing wrong with that. I've never had an issue
with having too many filters.
Yeah, and yeah. Now, the truth of the matter is, do you want to bring some? The tools for FI differ, and the tools are going to be a computer and a cable.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 ECU cables, so you can talk to the 990s. These new bikes, there's 5 ECUs on them, and it gets a little crazy. But now, the truth of the matter is, do you really hear that many problems with these things?
No, well,
really.
you do, because you kind of troll around in the internets all the time, and you hear about that one guy that had a problem. Well, that one guy had that problem, and he posted it up to his group, and then some guy went and found it, and he put it on Adventure Rider as if it was his problem, and then 20 guys took it and made it into their own post. And next thing you have 16,000 people, even though they sold 10,000 bikes, that have now had this problem.
Moral of the story, forums are stupid.
Forums, sometimes they're really good. There's actually some good forums out there with intelligent people commenting on it. Mm-hmm. But to filter through all of that stuff to find out that this is a non-issue. And Heather, how many bikes do we have? 40 some-odd bikes? 50 now? I don't know. We have a lot of bikes, and a fair amount of them are fuel injected. And hold on a sec. How loud is that thing? Oh, yeah. Yep.
Can we shut this door?
Yeah, somebody should go turn the leaf blower on that guy. It's the first leaf blower interaction we've had on our test. But when in reality, when this stuff just kind of gets out of control, and we haven't had any issues in all of our fuel injected bikes because we're a little bit careful about the fuel we put into it, and
or filter it,
or filter it. We actually, there's just one of the latest tests up there on this filter called a Googletech filter. You set it inside your gas tank, and it filters the water. They do filter water if you get the right one. Well, not with ethanol. Ethanol will carry the water right through the filters, but you have to.
How that's how to get ethanol out of fuel? Did you see that?
Add water.
Add water.
Yeah. It's an old school trick.
Yeah.
But oversaturate it, and it sucks it back out. But anyways, I think we're gonna wrap up. Oh, hey, one other question I got is, and this is a hot topic right now in my world. Somebody said, what do you think of Michael Lindsay doing a 450 shootout and buying all of the bikes? And so this is a guy who used to be at Vital MX that now has his own YouTube channel. I always was kind of impressed with him as far as he's one of the more knowledgeable guys about bike performance and understand how his stuff works. And he evidently went out and bought all of the 450 motocross bikes, although I would have to ask him whether he really bought them or not, because I just don't see where he would get $60,000 to plop down on motorcycles. And it was sponsored by Chaparral, so I'm sure there's some collaboration there. But either way, so he went, and typically media is provided the bikes that we test. And so Yamaha has not yet released their bike, and we don't ride that until Friday. But they're available in dealerships. So he kind of is blowing an embargo, and then there's some other media that's kind of pissed at him, and I'm like, hey, if he wants to go out and somehow acquire those motorcycles and get them before anybody else can, good on him. It's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. It's effort. The manufacturers sometimes are like, well, then we didn't get a chance to prep the bike or look at it, and it's like, neither does the regular customer. I mean, the regular customer does not get to have a specially prepped bike, and our bikes, even though everybody says, oh, you must be getting ringers and special bikes, and sometimes they try to do something, but I know in my case they don't do that because I'll take it apart if I think something's different. And even when we rode the 790, magically you showed up on another 790, and so we can go back to the one that they provided us with, one that's a customer bought showroom bike. So
I actually just got a phone call from a company, and I won't say who it was. They said, we got 5 bikes and we want you to run them on the dyno. How much? We want to release the one that makes the most horsepower to the media.
Yeah, that's a common occurrence that they will go and check all the bikes to make sure there isn't, quote, a dud.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact
that happens.
There's just variances in production. The fact that you couldn't ride it across the parking lot and tell if it was a dud is kind of troubling to me, that you actually have to ride it on a dyno. But then they just really want to check everything. They want to make sure that media, us, when we're testing stuff, gets what you would call a perfect stalker. And someone even accused. They said, hey, your 300 TPI bike must have had a special they called a Murrieta map in it. And I'm like, no, they don't even have the computer to talk to, at least not in the testing department. I'm sure R&D has one, but they don't have the computer to even talk to the Continental computer that's in. It's not the same one as is in the 4-strokes. It's a different setup. But so he went out and essentially went and did this test, and people are saying like, well, what do you think of that? And I think it's fine. And is he going to be able to sustain and do that all the time? Is he going to get penalized from the manufacturers that he didn't cooperate with? You never know, because I remember they used to tell my friends that worked as the media guys at these companies, going, control your media. Don't let these guys go out. And whether he's just going to become like a YouTuber, which is, there's big changing times in our industry where, some guys are, whether they're selling camera equipment or they're selling perfume, or, guys in perfume. That's kind of strange. I don't really follow too many of those guys. But, is that guy provide?
It is 2019.
Is that guy provide 20? We're in 20, right?
Yeah.
Provided products. Is it? Are they being honest and genuine? And that's how you have to kind of judge that stuff. So, somebody said, what do I think of it? Is that a full? I'm not even done with this one. See, even though I drink too much.
Keep talking. I got to pee.
Great. Well, with that, you better hurry up, because you're going to have to read all of the excuses. I'm like I said, kind of kind of surprised that he did it. It's kind of a new channel he's got going. It's going to get him a lot of followers. I think that'll work out in his world, and so we'll see how that kind of stuff works out. Let's see. How do you tune for max torque on a bike? When I did my MR2, I used to constant speed dyno is easy. What's an MR2? Also, does anyone listen to knock while tuning, or are most just bikes knock limited? You see how difficult this is? Like, there's some laughing out there. It's like, I'm not sure what that question was. Michael Brown? That's the good stuff, I thought.
Three faces.
3 happy faces? I'll give it 1. That's the tourist. They're calling it tourist tequila. Let's see. I'm not sure. How do you tune for max power on a bike? I know I got a question on the KTM 300 TPI also. They asked about changing the power valve springs or adjusting the power valve springs. I know that at the intro and everything, KTM said they didn't recommend it, and because I like to try things and stuff, I went ahead and tried it, and that's why one of the reasons why I had the JD jetting tuner sitting on top of it. So if I did change it and it did make a difference, I wanted to be able to compensate with the jetting, the fueling, and it didn't. For one turn in either direction, it didn't feel like it needed a fueling change, but for sure it changed the power character of the bike. I did not go inside and change the spring, which also alters it, but I imagine that you could, and it would make a substantial difference. So, but just like when you're doing that kind of stuff, be careful with it. Know what it feels like.
I have to go unlike the Rottweiler page now that I know he rode quads. Listen.
Yeah.
It's just 2 motorcycles.
It's
Isn't that twice as good? No.
Yeah. Hey, 3-wheeling's a good feeling.
Isn't that like a Honda slogan?
That's what they always said. I don't know. Hey, Janie. You got to certify me on this stuff. There. This is. I've had some. Actually, I think I might be able to get it for a reduced rate. Chris spent $100 on it, and I think it's worth about $20 right now, according to everybody here. So I'll bring it in and we'll add it to the list.
You like the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. Well,
you're a cheap date.
Huh? The
Herradura.
Herradura? It's real expensive. It's the one that you took away from me. You said I can't have anymore because it was too expensive. I'll invite you over for the Clase Azul Anejo.
I'll show up for that.
Negro Anejo or whatever it is. It's good.
Racist.
So I think that is the end of the questions there. I can't see the questions on the YouTubes. It seems like that one went blank on us there. Probably used too much bandwidth or went over their time limit. But I will, like I said, we'll edit this thing down like we usually do. It'll go up on YouTube. You can watch us and follow us on all of the different channels. Now, I know this is when all the questions are going to come in, but we're going to take those questions for next week because we've already gone way overboard on this show. But, Chris, do you want to tell me who I have to apologize to? I see I have to apologize to Josh.
Josh, Chuck, Chris, Rocks Risers, and Waves to Wastelands.
Yeah, but those are...
And your wife.
No.
For the last X amount of years. How many years, Heather? 20... What?
28. Yeah.
You've been with him for 28 years? My God, woman.
Hey, three of those apologies were for you.
They were.
Not me. But hey, I want to thank everybody for coming out. All the people. We're gonna have everybody that was hanging out in live in studio here, back behind us. Next time we do it here at Tech Talk Taco Tuesday at Rottweiler Performance, we will. You can follow Rottweiler Performance at Rottweiler Performance Facebook page. Where's your social medias at?
Rottweiler Performance on Facebook, Rottweiler Performance on Instagram. Just Rottweiler Performance.
Okay, at Rottweiler Performance. So we will we'll put all that up on the edit when we do that. So everybody, wave to the crowd. Cheers! Thank you for joining in, and we will see you out on the trail.
See you guys.
Right on.